everyone knows somebody who doesn't really like their job, but stays in it because the money's good. But you also find a lot of people who are in jobs which might be, well, not that pleasant, maybe even dangerous, and not that well paid, but they stay in it anyway. And it's not because of the money. People often do jobs that aren't so well paid, but they get a sense of fulfillment. I mean, all those people you see on, like Facebook and YouTube who are rescuing dogs and rehoming them or making sure that they're taken care of in some way. That's probably not a very well paid job, but every time that person goes to bed at night, he or she will think, well, I did something good today. And you would get that with the police as well, if they felt that they'd done some good. And when we hear that the police are leaving their jobs in record numbers, even though police salary is pretty good and the pension is pretty good, there's a lot of security there. Why are they leaving in numbers? People are talking about it being the money, but I don't think it is the money. It's, I'm sure, the fact that there are many officers of honour and integrity who lie back in their bed at night and think, now, did I do some good today? Well, I didn't have time to find that old lady's Volkswagen Golf that she needs to go to the shops, but I did arrest a retired teacher for making a dicky Facebook post. That's not going to give anyone a sense of fulfilment, is it? So it's people say policing is broken. Chancellor told underpaid and overworked police are leaving in droves. Now, they're not overworked, though. That's the problem. They are being worked in areas that they feel no sense of achievement or fulfilment. Well, let's face it. I don't earn a bundle off making these videos either, and I spend a long time doing some of them. But when I've finished, I think, I've done something I'm proud of here. And that's it. When you do something you're proud of, the money is useful, but not overridingly important. So, while we're talking about money, I'll say it would be nice if you could contribute to the Horseyopteryx fund. But if you can't, you can't. And meanwhile, I'm Granniopteryx, and it would be very nice if you could share this video, subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell, and and click like. All right, I think I've covered just about everything there. Let's get on with a couple of articles that I found in the Telegraph. Okay, so let's start with police being told to arrest people that they know are no harm. Can you imagine how demoralising that is? Now, some police are just bone stupid, and they'd probably get on with that without much of a problem. But anyone who really thinks must feel that they've spent a pointless day persecuting some middle-class housewife when they know there's a drug dealer, wandering around somewhere else that you didn't have time to deal with. And also, if they do arrest someone, there's less chance of the courts actually doing anything about it. For instance, there's this here. Sex offenders escaping prosecution despite police's Everard pledge. Thousands of sex offenders, it says here, accused of indecent exposure are avoiding prosecution despite a crackdown pledge by police after the rape and murder of Sarah Everard. Look, I'm going to have to bleep out some of these words. I do hope you'll forgive me, but I've fallen foul of YouTube on a few occasions, and It's a little dispiriting. The proportion of indecent exposure offences resulting in a charge has halved since 2014, from 1 in 5 to just 1 in 10, despite the number of reported crimes increasing by 160%, from 6,000 to 16,000 in the same period. Now, I'm just speculating here, but I'm wondering of the ethnic origin of some of those indecent exposure cases, because it seems to me that in 2014-2015 there wasn't quite the tidal wave of illegal migrants coming into our country that we have had since about, I think it's 2019. Many of the men, and they're nearly all men coming in on those dinghies, are not probably the best of the society from which they ran, and many of them were actually wanted for serious crimes in the countries from which they ran. And I'm wondering whether that might have something to do with the fact that convictions aren't being got for these people. Maybe for a start because the judges seem to go quite easy on some of the cases I've read about. Jess Phillips, the safeguarding minister, admitted too many victims were being let down and pledged a fundamental review. Are they always making fundamental reviews? Or how about lessons learned? That's a good one. We're working with the police to fundamentally review the way they respond. Now, I want to say, I often don't correct people's grammar. But if I don't like them, I tend to correct the grammar more. And that's not to fundamentally review, it's to review fundamentally, or fundamentally to review. That is called a split infinitive. Don't do it, it's just clumsy. We all know that one, to boldly go. Although I have made an argument that boldly go is actually one concept. But everybody quotes that when they talk about split infinitives. Kieran Mullen, the Shadow Justice Minister, who set up a group with parents of Miss Everard to campaign for tougher sentencing, said, "These offences can be deeply traumatic, and we also know more and more about how they can be a first step to the most serious crimes." Yeah, well, we've known that for years. All right, well, that's one thing that the police have to worry about. They might actually arrest someone, but when they get this person to court, they read from their little book about how they were proceeding in a westerly direction and found this fellow with his trousers down in front of a group of toddlers or whatever. And then the judge says, this man, he's from Afghanistan. He doesn't understand English, and he says he didn't realise that was illegal. So we'll let him go with a slap on the wrist. How do you think the police are going to think about that? Yeah. OK. 6 officers turned up to arrest a retired special constable. He made a tweet which was criticising anti-Semitism, by the way, but it was taken the opposite because we've got a problem with language recently. And then the police turned up at his doorstep and spent hours pulling books out of his bookshelves, trying to find something that they could twist into a case against him. They found one of Douglas Murray's books, for instance, and remarked on this, and another book, I don't remember what it was, about it being a bit Brexity. So they also spent more hours going through his wife's underwear drawer, looking for dangerous knickers, I suppose, or perhaps politically incorrect vests. There were 6 officers there. So a couple of them were all enthusiastic about taking these books off the shelves. Can you imagine there would be one who's thinking, what are we doing here? And watching his colleagues all, ideologically captured. Is that going to make him feel like he wants to stick around with these people? It's always got to be more than one reason. And if the police stuck to actually dealing with crimes, proper crimes, like Like this, for instance. Couples steal back their own Jaguar after police fail to help. A couple were forced to steal back their own car after police told them they were too busy. Mia Forbes Piri and Mark Simpson managed to track the vehicle to an address just 4 miles from their home. You see, they had some sort of a tracker on the car, so they told the police exactly where it was. And the police still couldn't go and deal with it. The Metropolitan Police said it did not know when it would be able to investigate, despite being given the Jaguar E-Pace's exact location. After telling the force they would retrieve it themselves, the pair were told to ring 101 if they were successful. So people are being forced to take the law into their own hands. Miss Forbes Piri and Mr Simpson first noticed the car fitted with a ghost immobiliser and tracker was missing on Tuesday morning. An update from the AirTag showed it to be just a 10-minute drive away. In a post to her LinkedIn, Mrs Forbes Piri, a former solicitor, admitted it had been kind of fun to steal their car. It wouldn't have been fun if the thieves had gone after them with a couple of baseball bats or something, would it? Or knives. She added, but it does make me wonder whether we should have had to do that. Oh, yeah, it does make everyone wonder, doesn't it? And not whether it's normal, but whether it's right. The police seem to have no interest in investigating. If there are no consequences, what is the incentive for people not to do more of this? Miss Forbes Piri said she understood the force was overwhelmed and there aren't enough resources. No, there's no excuse. If that same couple had made a tweet saying they knew where the car was and that for all they cared, somebody might set fire to their house, the police would be round there in an instant. Wouldn't they? They didn't have any trouble arresting Lucy Connolly, but they did have a lot of trouble going to find a car on which they had the information of its whereabouts. But as I said, if Miss Forbes Piri had made a tweet, they'd have been round her place in no time at all. Probably in force, you know, a couple of police cars, 2 or 3 police cars, a whole lot of them, inviting her round to the police station for a chat. Well, that's the problem with the police. It says here, the police chiefs have told the government that if they are to meet pledges to cut crime, they need more money and more officers. No, they just need the officers to stop arresting people for non-crime hate incidents. That's what they need. There will be no end to the number of police. The whole country could be a police force. There will be no end to it. They've got to get rid of some of the laws, some of the silly laws, some of the oppressive laws, any law to do with hate speech and that sort of thing. That's what they have to do. And then they will have enough officers and enough funding. When you send 6 officers to arrest a retired special constable, basically for having a copy of Douglas Murray's book in his bookshelf, you realise that the police are not doing their job and all the money in the world isn't going to cut any crime. And then you have to have the courts actually putting perpetrators in prison. And to do that, you have to have room in the prison so you can get rid of some of those hate crime people from prison as well, can't you? OK, it's not a matter of funding. It's a matter of priorities. All right, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.